so pissed off some feminist right-wing MAGA chicks that literally made a video about you. One of them literally said that being on that podcast, that she's never been in an abusive relationship, but being on that podcast with you, she knew how it felt to be in a abusive relationship. I mean, this is absolutely crazy talk, bro. And these are MAGA chicks, right? They promote that stuff. And of course they have a branding themselves. But my question is that if they are truly like right wing, they believe in the patriarchy. Why is it that when you address them on the way they think of things, why did they go out and lash out on you? They agreed with the vast majority of the shit that you were saying on that podcast.
Because what was going on there in that specific situation is those women were basically going on tour for their clothing brand. They were selling something. And part of that tour was they had gone and met with Trump and had been pulled up on the stage. And so they were doing a media blitz. And part of that media blitz was to go on whatever podcast, and then they would clip all that up and, use that as part of their sales pitch for their clothing line. And what happened instead is they met a spoiler. So they were expecting to have their asses kissed, whereas instead we ended up in kind of these micro arguments. However, they weren't really big deal arguments. I didn't feel like I was particularly hard on them at all. And their big ones came in because they were trying to tell these kind of these stories about how, the overly emotional tales of, well, I had an abortion, and then this is how I came to Christ, and they're trying. So this type of tale, this type of what is called Christian Grift testimonials, is designed to bring in a certain demographic and audience who says, "Oh, you go, girl. Thank you so much for this testimonial." Blah 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 blah. And it works to a degree for some of these people. For them, I don't even think that they're doing that well inside of that sphere. But still, that was what the plan was. Well, by the next day, when they realized that, hey, they couldn't use this for any sort of kind of pro-marketing for their product, they had to find some scapegoats. And so then it became, I was abusive. We were deprived of food and water and sleep. And we were essentially prisoners inside of the studio. And we were terrified. We were shaking in our boots. And of course, if you watch the episode, they were more horrible to the women than I was. And these are the women who they claim need to be protected from the podcast, which is Camo Motorsports for $20 Australian says, Andrew, I don't know how you can deny their lived experience. Their truth was they were tortured. These brave women are speaking their truth. So brave. Speak your truth. You brave, brave women. You brave queens. How unfortunate. How unfortunate. They were deprived. Hey, any guys want a beer? No, thank you. Oh, yeah, I'll take one. Yeah, sure, here you go. Oh, and here's your glasses of water. Here's everything you need. Here's the show instructions leading up to this, explaining to you that you probably want to eat something before you go because it's a long podcast. Have all those messages. They knew exactly what they were walking into. They're just lying through their teeth, lying through their teeth. She was acting like they're being held hostage. It's ridiculous. It's so over the top ridiculous. I can't even believe they're saying it. It's hard to believe they're even saying this shit, but they are. And it's 10 times more bizarre because it's so easy to refute. There are cameras pointing at the table that see glasses of water in front of you. People can literally use their eyeballs and see the glasses of water sitting in front of you. They can see them. These two chicks also got up and went, and I think refilled their glasses.
And then there's this control that they had over us. And I felt like multiple times I'm like, well, should we leave or do we want to stay for these girls? And I hate to
stay for the girls that you left on the floor and didn't give a shit about. Walked right past them like they weren't even there. Well, not them, but one. You're staying for her. The one that you said needed therapy and was kind of basically a piece of shit feminist. The one that this one went off on, you're staying for the girls. And staying for nobody but you. Thrive for $5 says these women are full of shit deluded. But are you saying there aren't narcissist. A narcissist manipulates, gaslights their children, spouse, chatters. Listen, all I said is that it's an overblown, overused term. And when people use overblown, overused terms, I become very suspect about those terms. That's what I'm saying. Caesar the Grape for $10 says, the type of Christian women that have crystals all over their house and Reiki appointments on Wednesday, they're exactly that type. Just nightmare women.
Leave these girls by themselves. So there was a lot going on. And
leave them by themselves. You mean like the one you left by herself? That one? Now, look, I wasn't a hero, right? I didn't run and grab this chick and, like, pull her out of a burning building. But I at least acknowledge that she was a fucking human being who was in distress. You know? Yeah, no, I didn't swoop in with a hang glider and, like, take her away from marauders or something like this. I at least acknowledge that she was in distress and may need some kind of aid. They just completely ignored her like she was nothing. Like she was dirt. But they stayed for the girls. By the way, a little intel coming in. We'll go ahead and pull this up. And this is
we weren't allowed to wear it. And I have I have never been in an abusive relationship. The closest I've ever been is here in the States. So not only did we have a $10,000 fine looming over our head, some people are like, you aren't going to get fined. Well, per the contract sitting in the back of your head, it says that if you disrupt the podcast, you could be fined $10,000. And the whole time I'm thinking the whole podcast is disruptive. But for some reason that's looming over my head. And obviously I'm not thinking clearly, because if I was thinking clearly, I'd be like, any lawyer could get me out of this. They deprived me of sleep, of food, of water.
They deprived her of food, of sleep, of water. Well, let's find out. Let's play a game of is it true or is it bullshit? Were they deprived of food, sleep, and water? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Whew. Treated like animals. Deprived of food, sleep, and what's that? What is that? Now, it's true. I don't think that Brian, put out a bed. I don't think that he put out a bed with some throw pillows or anything for them to take a nappy nap. But unless I'm fucking crazy, that appears to me to be them drinking water in cups that are owned by the whatever studio. Essentially, all of them do the same thing, and they go through the politics of personal destruction. So they'll try to put out misinformation, or they go to collect whatever tidbits your haters have put out about you, and then they try to drive those points home as a form of attack. It's very much a low-tier attack, though, and you become subject to what I call the law of diminishing returns, which is if you only harp on whatever in Andrew Wilson, there's only so much that you can put out there because people already know everything about me for the most part, as far as they know.
Right.
And so every time you do a new episode going, oh, my God, these people are horrible, the returns begin to diminish because people become bored of it. They become fucking bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not really a good strategy, even a marketing strategy from them. So we knew almost immediately I was going to do the one trash talk and expose all of it, which I did. But then there was no point in giving them any more attention of any kind because that's essentially what they want.